Am I the idiot for making my pregnant wife cry by calling her less of a person? This all boils down to my wife's father. I have a 6-year-old son that started living with me as his primary guardian when he was 3 and his mom went back to school. I met my wife through work, and I also met her father, who worked at the same company in a higher role than both of us. My wife knew I had a son, but I said I wouldn't introduce them unless we became a serious couple, because that wouldn't be fair to him. When my wife did meet my son, they got along really well. I invited her and her father over for dinner one night, and her father met my son for the first time. He was weird and awkward around my son and made strange comments about his appearance. His mom is black. I confronted him after the dinner, and he made some pretty pathetic excuses. After that, I asked him to not contact me outside of work matters and asked her for space. A couple weeks later, my wife told me she had completely cut her father off for his beliefs. Our relationship became stronger than ever. When we got engaged, she said she didn't want her father at the wedding. We ended up both transferring to other companies. As far as I knew, he was gone from both of our lives for good. My wife is pregnant and due in a month. She has already started maternity leave and has been looking for a new job to start after maternity leave because she doesn't want to stay at her current company. Yesterday, she sat me down and told me her dad got her an interview for a job at our old company. She also told me she has been talking to him for a couple months and wants to know how I would feel about him knowing our future child. I told her the truth. I told her I felt betrayed, and I felt like she betrayed my son, who she claimed to think of as her son as well. I told her that she would even ask me, which makes her less of a person in my eyes. She started crying and asked me what kind of insensitive jerk would call the woman pregnant with his kid less of a person. I told her that was how I felt, and although the language was harsh, I felt it matched what she was asking for. After cooling off, I'm now unsure if my word choice was warranted and wondering if I was an idiot for speaking to her that way while she is pregnant and more emotionally vulnerable. I could have just said I wasn't okay with what she was proposing without insulting her character. You're the idiot. It's one thing to not feel comfortable about the situation with her father, but you devolved into insults. I can't help but wonder if you care at all about her feelings. She could have her father for you, but it sounds like that didn't actually sit well with her. We're talking to her father, and maybe wanting him to be a part of his grandchild's life doesn't undo everything. You both can still agree to boundaries. It takes both of you working together. You're the idiot. Your wife reacted and had you and your sons back the second her father acted wrong. She changed jobs. She didn't invite him to her wedding. She was extremely loyal. It also sounds like she does not have a lot of family. Yes, you should not directly insult her and act like she did something horrible by only talking to her own father. This is not a betrayal to you. Is he overreacting? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for putting one big condition if I lend my sister money for buying a house? I am a 38-year-old male, and I have a 36-year-old sister who is female. We're pretty close and love each other to bits. She has 2 kids with a man who didn't want any. Both times she got pregnant, he told her that if she didn't abort, he would leave her. He has stepped up and has taken responsibilities, though. But whenever things go south, he accuses her of making his life miserable, and that he didn't want any of it. That's her background. I've been able to save some money, and when I saw houses prices going down where they lived in a flat that had a very good price and was perfect for a family of 4, I told her I would give her all my savings, so adding her own savings, she could have enough money to ask for a mortgage. I had just one condition. The house has to be in her name. I wanted to help provide stability to my niece and nephew, so if they, my sister and Beth, break up, there would be no doubts about the house ownership, since she would be the one who would keep the kids. I've had very bad experiences with shared mortgage from friends and familiars, with a lot of problems and hate in the process, so I didn't want any of it for my sister nor her kids. How I see things, everything's going to be for the kids at the end, so we'll be providing for them. Here comes the tricky part. Even if the monthly mortgage is less than what they're paying for rent at the moment, she won't be able to pay all of it, plus the shared costs of living in 2 kids with her salary, so we would have to pay something to her for living there. Here's when things went very wrong. He said if he had to pay for part of the house, he had to get part of the house, and what we were asking from him was unfair, and I was being an asshole because it meant I didn't trust their relationship. I said he was ought to pay a total stranger for the rent, but not her girlfriend, and that it wasn't me the one who has to have faith in them, but themselves. If he really thought they were good together, he shouldn't be worried about having a house because he would be living with his family and saving money for himself. My sister is kinda sad because they are now fighting, and some of her friends agree with her boyfriend's opinion. I feel like an asshole for putting her in this predicament, even if my intentions were good. I'm not rich. I have a family too with 2 small kids, so those savings were very important to me too. I think I'm the off for stepping in on how they do things, but not for my request. Am I? Edit. I've read all your opinions and yeah, I've been quite naive about the whole scene and created a new problem when there were enough already. I'm going to apologize to him, so at least my sister is not taking the brunt of it. I should apologize to her too. I'm going to look into buying a house for myself as some of you have suggested, so I'll be making good use of the money, and if something happens we can provide for my sister and her kids. Not the idiot. But why on earth are you just giving away all of your life savings, get your own place, and have the kids over often? You don't get to control their relationship, with money or not. You're the idiot. If he's paying for the house, he obviously should own it, and I think it would be really weird to pay a boyfriend or girlfriend for the privilege of living with them. People in serious relationships tend to share things. That's part of the whole point. You may not like the relationship that they're in, but they're in it. Should he give them the money? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for refusing to come with my family on vacation if my boyfriend isn't invited? My female 29 family has always shown favoritism towards my younger sister and brother's partners. They treat them like family but don't hide their dislike of the partners I've had. Recently, my family have been planning a trip to Korea this summer. We will be visiting my grandmother's hometown as well as visiting other areas. The problem comes with the fact that both my sisters, female 22, boyfriend, female 23, and my brothers, male 26, boyfriend, male 24, have been invited to join us. However, they haven't extended that invitation to my boyfriend, who is 29 years old. When I brought this up, my mother told me it's because he's not a long-term partner, which I call bullshit on. Yes, my siblings have been with their partners longer, sister 4 years, brother 5 years, but I've still been with my buff for just over a year. Personally, I think it's a race thing. My sister's buff is also Korean and my brother's buff is Thai, while my buff is white. My family denies this and my grandmother says it's because he's disrespectful. The thing is he isn't. Me and my siblings are all second-generation immigrants, and I just never took much interest in Korean culture. They, however, became obsessed with it at a young age. I just didn't engage much. Since it's not that important to me, I never told my buff about any customs or what is and isn't appropriate to them. He's kinda nice to them. It's just that he's not Korean or even Asian. I kept pushing to bring him, and I kept being told no. So I said that if he isn't coming, then I'm not either, which very much hurt my family. Family is important to them. I've had some time to cool off, and I feel bad for hurting my family, but I'm proud of myself for standing my ground. But I'm conflicted, so am I the idiot? You're the idiot, because you brought your boyfriend into a family situation he wasn't prepared for. You admit that Korean culture is not important to you, but that it is important to your family. You know there are cultural customs your boyfriend would not know he was expected to follow. You did not prepare or warn him, so he walks into family events blind, and while he may very well be acting respectful based on his own customs, he is acting disrespectfully to your family based on theirs. Not the idiot. If you're serious about your boyfriend, you need to set the precedent that you will not stand for excluding him now. If you know in your gut the excuse is bullshit, they will just keep coming up with more. You are not preventing them from going, you're just choosing to not go on a trip your partner is being excluded from. I wouldn't want to be on a trip where my partner was the only one left out either. Is she asking for too much? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for canceling my son's birthday party because my mother-in-law left poop on my toothbrush? My mother-in-law watches my 3 kids. They are aged 5, 3, and 7 months. My mother-in-law usually watches them and drops them off from school. The kids are battling a stomach virus, so everyone was home on Monday. The little one had a poop explosion, so my mother-in-law washed her butt in our bathroom sink. However, she did not clean up after, and there was poop all around the sink, on the toothpaste, on the toothbrushes, and the little cups that the kids use when brushing their teeth. I have pictures if you guys really want to see. This has happened before, but it's the first time we said anything. When my wife called her mom to be more careful, because it's absolutely disgusting and gross. My wife is Hispanic, so her tone can definitely be aggressive, especially to a gringo like myself, but her mom seemed to understand the frustration. However, once her sisters, both in their 30s and single for good reason, caught wind that my wife belittled their mother, all hell broke loose. The sisters began defending the mother, calling out how dirty/messy our house is, calling my wife fat and basically just saying how lucky we are to have the mother-in-law in our life and it's no big deal. In fact, we're the a-holes for being upset about this. I guess the sisters got to my mother-in-law because then mother-in-law came back and started parroting the same talking points about how messy our house is, how ungrateful my wife is, and how my mother-in-law cleans our house and cooks for the kids all of the time. My 5-year-old son was also at her house this weekend and had an accident where he Hershey squirted on the bed because he's sick. That was also thrown in our face multiple times. They also referred to watching our kids as favors, which is weird because they always ask to take them. My mother-in-law says she won't come ever again to watch the kids. She did not show today, so I had to call out today to watch the baby, which is fine. However, I don't like how the mother-in-law is affecting my job and career with her pettiness, as I had some important stuff scheduled today. Keep in mind, we pay her $300 cash a week to watch the kids. Now I'm going to pay about $150 more per month for someone to watch the kids, which is no big deal really. However, my son's birthday is tomorrow. They had a big old party planned at my mother-in-law's for Saturday. However, I have told everyone that we will not be attending the party and we have barred her family from seeing, giving gifts, or even speaking to the kids for the time being. Am I the idiot for canceling my son's party and not allowing my wife's family to celebrate his birthday on Saturday? You're the idiot. Have you ever taken care of your children by yourself when they were sick? You don't seem to have a clue how chaotic that can be. Your baby, with a virus your other kids are suffering from too, has a norovirus diarrhea explosion in their diaper. You're saint of a mother-in-law who's taking care of this one, plus 2 more who are also exploding from butt and mouth, sticks the baby's butt in the sink, and cleans that child while also caring for 2 other sick children. A job that she lovingly does for $300. $300, not enough to live anywhere. Not the idiot. These people are acting very abusive. No need to subject your children to that drama. Also, time to set boundaries, because if they are being nasty to your wife for this, who knows where they will stop. Is he treating his mother-in-law unfairly? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for moving my daughter out of her room and onto the loft area to make room for my sister? I, female 34, have 3 kids under 5 years old. We live in a 3-bed, 2.5-bath condo, and we have my sons in one room and my daughter in another. We also have a loft area with 2.5 walls. One side has a wall maybe 3.5 or 4 feet tall, and another side is open. I have a half-sister 12 that needed a place to stay. She was in an emergency foster home, and either my husband and I had to take her in or she had to go to a foster home. We never met her. I didn't even know she existed, but I didn't want her to end up in foster care, so we took her in. My husband wanted her to share a room with our daughter, but I thought living with strangers is hard enough for her, and she'll need her own space. We ended up moving our daughter into our son's room, but that didn't work out well. Our daughter can't sleep without a sound machine and night light, and the boys can't sleep with them. They also have different bedtimes, and putting the boys to bed always wakes her up. My husband wanted to put her back in her old room, but I didn't think that would be a good situation for either of the girls. I ended up moving her bed into the loft, and her clothes/changing table are in my room. The half wall is too high for her to climb. Her toys were already there, and we can put a divider or curtain there if this becomes a long-term thing. My husband came home and saw this and was furious that I moved our daughter into the loft instead of letting her share a room with my half-sister. That was around 3 weeks ago. My daughter is fine in the loft. I painted it for her, got some princess wall decals, and organized the toys to leave more room for her bed and everything else I brought from her room. To say my sister isn't adjusting well is an understatement. She's tried to run away twice, and she had a breakdown and destroyed everything in her room last week. My husband has mentioned calling the social worker and sending her to a foster home since she got here. The past few days have been better. I haven't had to pick her up early from school at all this week. She's leaving her room for meals, and she's starting to talk to me. My husband still thinks this isn't working out. He's refusing to let our daughter stay in the loft and says that my sister shouldn't be around the kids. I told him if he sends her to a foster home after she's just starting to feel comfortable here, the kids and I are leaving. We've been arguing again because he wants to send her to a home, and he actually said part of the reason is because he wants to get our daughter back into her room. He got his family calling me a bad mom for prioritizing some random girl over my kids. Am I the idiot for putting my daughter in the loft to make room for my sister and not sending her to a foster home? Not the idiot. A lot of people may not understand how the room looks. Sounds like it's already a play area. If your daughter is fine giving up her room and it's truly safe, should be no issues. Kind of an idiot for an ultimatum though and overstepping your husband's feelings. But sometimes being an asshole is required in life. Actions have consequences and you're forcing an unexpected dynamic with unexpected outcomes. You're the idiot. This affects your whole family, and it sounds like you made the decision a little lightly and without talking to your husband about it. Her presence and behavior will affect your kids. She is essentially a stranger to everyone, and you have small children. That makes me super uncomfortable. She sounds like she needs way more emotional and behavioral support than typical.